Hey everyone, I just thought I'd jump on to quickly explain something that we find a lot of people run into trouble with, and is the cause of a lot of the problems that we see. So I thought I'd jump on and quickly explain it just to kind of give you guys some background. So what we, especially around the local area, but Auckland more broadly, get quite a lot of, is the people get pH crashes quite a lot around here. So basically, what that means is like you might be cruising, like your tank might be cruising at a pH of like 7, say for example, and then all of a sudden that crashes and then shoots down to like on the API test kit, showing that it's like bottomed out and is probably lower than what the tests for. So we find a lot of people do have those issues, and basically what happens in those situations is you'll often get like an ammonia spike, which is just like the ammonia kind of goes up, the pH goes down, and then everything has a bad time basically. So the how do I explain? So the with the oh, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? With the so the ammonia, when the pH is 6 or low, like whatever it is, the ammonia won't be as toxic. Is the basic explanation, but it still is no good, and we find a lot of people have trouble with it sort of killing their fish. So what is important in this space is testing your KH or carbonate hardness. So very simply put, a low KH is when there's basically no carbonate in the water. It's kind of the easiest way of explaining it. And then what happens when you have such a low KH is you will run into trouble with basically the bacteria that eats the fish waste dying off. And then that just leads to these issues that we see quite often customers having. It's particularly worse around the local area just because out of the tap, the KH is basically, there's basically nothing. So that leads to people having trouble with it. So yeah, what I would almost say, like, because most people use this one, the master test kit. But I would almost say that the GH and KH test kit would almost be sort of one that you'd need, especially if you're in the local area. If you're in a place where there's not so much issue with it out the tap, might be less important. But yeah, I think it is really important to understand what your KH is and where it changes. So the next question, of course, is what do we do about it? So the best option, I'd say, is just adding crushed oyster shell to your filter. That is, like, the exact amount is going to depend quite a lot. Like, if you have a bigger tank, have a smaller tank, if you're keeping, live bearers like mollies and guppies and platies and stuff compared to if you're keeping, I don't know, bedders or something, that's all going to affect it. So if you're wondering, feel free to let me know and I can make an educated guess about how much you'll want to add. Don't need to add a ton, but basically what I find is that is enough to kind of combat a lot of these issues with the pH crashing. Given how low the KH is. So yeah, I'd definitely recommend getting a KH test kit, and I definitely recommend adding it to your sort of regular testing routine that I know a lot of people love. And I just think it is really important, and it kind of gets ahead of a lot of issues before they become an issue, if that makes sense. I think understanding it gives you a much more healthy picture of your tank on an all-round basis, and then obviously you have the more knowledge, you'll be able to sort of catch problems before they become a problem, if that makes sense. So yeah, what I was wanting to jump on and say is just to summarize, KH is very, very important for keeping your tank stable and keeping your tank healthy. And I would really recommend people who don't have a KH test kit get one if at all possible, and keep an eye on it, and then you can just catch these issues before they happen. So yeah, if you have any questions about it, I'll say first, I know there's some more hardcore people who will. I've explained this in a very basic way to hopefully make it a bit more understandable for newer people and everything. It's probably not the most scientifically accurate way of explaining it, but I think it's the best way for you to first get your head around it. If you're wanting to know like more in-depth stuff or more detailed stuff or more specific stuff, always feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to talk fish, basically. So yeah, that is basically all I wanted to say. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm always available. So yeah, happy fish keeping, and remember to have fun. That's the most important thing with fish. So have fun, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.